And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So tonight I actually have my very good friend Anastasia Elfman with me. We're here to break down Monkeybone. This is the cult classic that made you wonder why did they decide to go with Chris Kattan and not Brendan Fraser for the movie trailer. But let's go ahead, let's break this down. I'm excited to have Anastasia back again, and let's go on ahead and do this, guys. And welcome back, Anastasia.
Oh, thanks for having me back. How
You're,
fun.
you're very welcome. It's good to have you back. And I noticed while I was doing the intro that you were holding up some monkey bone stuff. So I want to see what you have.
Yes, I've got the DVDs. I think this
Oh,
is the Japan one. I haven't opened it, but I've had it for a while. And then this one is, just the regular US one, but it has a fun, I don't know if you've ever seen oh no, I left it in my TV.
it's okay.
I was just watching it just to prep for this. So we're gonna have to do like a little commercial break at some point. I'm gonna have to go get it because it's like it has a cute little disc art inside, which I wanted to share. But so we have this guy. Oh, it's getting the glare from my lights. But isn't
I
it
can see
cute?
it. Oh, I
And
like the
then,
cover for it. It's got that
yeah,
Chris Clare cover to it. I really like it.
yeah. And then we've got Bridget over here. Got Naughty Monkey Bone. We've got Death herself, I think.
Yep,
Whoopi.
that's death.
So yeah. And then this one's fun. Okay, so the Japanese one. So Bridget, so my sister-in-law is Bridget Fonda, as you know. She was cleaning out some stuff and she found this prop right here that's in downtown. It's like kind of featured down there, and she gave
Mhm.
it to me. So I have
Oh, that's
that.
pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm keeping it safe. And yeah, so I just noticed that it was on the cover.
Okay. You see, I actually had to rent this from YouTube for like $4 because I wanted them to do a 4K release of this movie because they
Okay.
really do.
Yeah, and I want to get into that because I want to see that happen too.
I
But we
swear,
can
there's like
save
a
that for
petition for
later. I
us
don't
to.
want to jump ahead too much.
Right. I'm just telling you about how I feel about it. I want to have it on physical media because I have cool. Another thing too is I want to get into it in a few minutes too, but this has Cool World vibes from like the night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually own Cool World on Blu-ray, but I would like to actually have this as far as this being in my physical media collection as well because I love this movie. I really do. Um,
It's such a great film, right? I mean, it's totally we can get into this later, but it's such a masterpiece, a misunderstood masterpiece.
mhm.
Because when it came out, there was so much like people didn't understand it. The studio didn't really support it. There was not much advertising done. And what little there was, it was a little confusing to who the audience was.
Mhm.
And so I think that kind of left an odd taste in, the audience's mouth. And also like critics weren't that nice to it. But I think that if you watch this as like a first time viewer, I feel like this film could totally blow any big budget film out of the water today. It
I think
has
so too.
such craftsmanship. It has such attention to detail, such artistry, so much. With the stop motion and the practical effects and the makeup and the costuming and the insane set design, all of that, just like so above and beyond anything that we're seeing in theater right now, I feel like, right?
I agree because we talked about practical effects versus CGI effects a bunch of times on here. But I just love the fact that you can actually go to a set and physically touch it, walk on it, and be able to feel like that you're actually in death's doorway, or if you feel like you're in that dream sequence as well. So I really like that. I also like the look of downtown still. I still love that stuff. Um, but I still have to say I enjoy this film for what it is. I still have fun with it. I've watched it twice since I rented it. I also used to watch this all the time on DirecTV whenever people watch stuff on satellite. So it still holds up in part of my heart. But my question is this: how did you come across Monkey Bone, and how do you feel about it nostalgically?
Well, I mean, obviously, I
Hmm.
love it for
Hmm.
the nostalgia. I love, I mean, it's an interesting film, right? Because it's not like the classic. I mean, I wouldn't say it's lacking three-act structure, but there's a lot happening and expecting the viewer to know certain things that we later kind of find out in like exposition. Like them talking, like Bridget's character talks to her friend about like
Right.
how her and Stu, Brendan Fraser's character, how they met and at the like sleep clinic and stuff. So,
Right.
like things kind of like, I mean, the first I feel like we get 10 minutes in and we're already into downtown, right? Like it
Right.
was so fast. But so anyways, I love it. It's a fast-paced film and you have to pay attention. And when did I see it? I mean, I saw it in theater. So
Okay.
yeah. And then I don't know. I mean, I have the physical copies, but I don't remember how I got them. So
Hey, that's always a plus. Out of 10, how do you feel about it? Like, is it like a 9 or a 10?
it's like 1,000, it's a million.
Okay.
It's so great. Well, also because I really love like underdog projects. You know what I
Me
mean?
too.
Like where they're like set up to fail in a way, but then they come up and have this like whole underground fan base, like you and I.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I feel like at this point, I'm like the Monkeybone historian. I've done so many different interviews, like just trying to rally and get some love for Monkeybone, which ironically, I don't love the character Monkeybone that much. I like Chris, I like the Brendan Fraser version of Monkeybone, like the little Monkeybone character. He's like kind of annoying.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. And you see, for me, I've actually, the thing that always draws me into movies like this is like a creator that winds up dying because of his work ultimately kills him. Look at Cool World, for example. Like, ultimately, the cartoonist winds up getting into that world of Cool World because Dolly wants to go into the real world. In order,
Yeah.
but there was just something about the draw of downtown, this gothic kind of feel to it that's really draws me, which is why I'm addicted to Danny's music and stuff, and also Tim Burton's stuff, is because of the gothic look and the realistic look of what would actually be what death would look like to us as an audience and stuff. And that's what would really draws me into this, is like this is a creator that winds up accidentally dying because of his own work, and he winds up going into being into downtown, going into the gates of hell, basically to try and get Monkeybone back into downtown so he can go and live with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess in the film, it's kind of like Stu and Dr. Girlfriend, Bridget's character. So they have a little like car accident and then he ends up in a coma. And
right,
then we get that beautiful sequence of him dipping down into downtown in a way, and with the sheets going down. Do you remember that part? And with the
yeah,
animation and stuff, and then he goes
that's what I
into
want. Yeah,
yeah, he goes into like the roller coaster thing. And yeah, it's like it's almost like I don't think he technically dies. It's a coma.
right,
And it's almost like it's a limbo and it's like the hand that catches you between, life and death. So you're just
right,
kind of like hanging out, wasting time, let's say.
right. And that's what drew me in there, because the basically with me watching it through, because of the fact I seen the trailer first when I was a kid, and then watching it still as a kid, as a teenager, and realizing, okay, this is a coma, not someone that actually died. But from the way they were pitching it, it pitched like it was supposed to be him dead, and now Mikey Bone's in this predicament with him and stuff like that. So that's what I got from the trailer as a teenager. And then watching it is a totally different perspective.
Yeah. Did you end up seeing the trailer on like Cartoon Network
No,
when
I
they
get this.
okay, do you know the history about that?
No, I
About
don't.
how they like did trailers for this, and I believe it was Cartoon Network, and like some group like Moms Against Fun or something like that. Like some mom group wrote into the network complaining about the Monkeybone trailer, and so they ended up coming up with Adult Swim. So isn't that cool? Like how like
Oh
those
wow! So that's what created Adult
yeah.
Swim was because of Monkeybone.
Yeah.
So it wasn't for Monkeybone, we wouldn't even have Adult Swim.
Yeah. So
That's
like
pretty
you could
neat.
have like more adult content, that's still like goony and wacky, which is like
Right.
totally, I guess, us, right? We love
Right.
these
Exactly.
goony things.
I could definitely see that. But yeah, for me nostalgically, I have to go at least a 9.9 or 10 for me nostalgically because of
Okay.
the fact that I just love this movie. I love Brendan Fraser. I love this movie to death. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's dissect this thing scene by scene. So
Oh.
welcome back to Movie Loves Night, the podcast where we explore the films that shaped our love for cinema, the bold ones, the creative ones, the unforgettable ones, and then there's Monkeybone, a movie where Brendan Fraser plays a cartoonist who dies, goes to a nightmare realm, gets his body stolen by his horny cartoon monkey. Yes, this is a real movie. This was released in theaters. People paid money for this, and somehow it exists. Is it misunderstood genius, early 2000 chaos, or proof that nobody was supervising Hollywood at this time? Tonight, we find out. So prepare yourself for a nightmare fuel, cartoon possession, and Brendan Fraser fighting for his own body. This is Movie Lovers Unite, and we are here to break this thing down scene by scene. So Stu Miley is a delusionist cartoonist whose comic strip features a rascal monkey named Monkeybone. Stu is in love with a sleep institute worker named Dr. Julie McElroy, who helped him deal with his terrible nightmares by changing his drawing hand. One night, Stu crashes his car on a ventilator's tubes after accidentally activating an inflatable monkey bone toy and slips into a coma. So, like you said, right off the bat, this movie is fast paced, right? Because because at first I'm like, okay, it's going to take us a while to get to the coma and stuff like that. Because in my mind, as a teenager, I'm thinking I totally remember it differently. I forgot about the fact that the opening scene where we actually see them watching the cartoon of Monkeybone, and it's like us as an audience who's watching this footage as they are, and we're actually just that much excited for Stu to be able to present this to the audience and loving Monkeybone. And then there's also the other process of advertising, the PR stuff, and just the I want to say not overboard, but just the whole entire anxiety of being successful, and meaning that you actually have to promote stuff. You have to actually have a toy line going and have money coming in besides just the show. And I like how Stu is like, look, I'm not about that. I just want to go on ahead, show my cartoon for people that loves this and live my life. And that's what I get out of Stu. He's not a money hungry person. He cares about people. He's very humble, and he doesn't care about this toy line stuff. But that's what ultimately sent him into that coma, was because of his friend who ended up putting that inflatable monkey in the back of his truck that he didn't even trunk of his car that he didn't even want to begin with. And that's what the thing that he doesn't want is actually the thing that puts him into a coma. But what do you think?
Yes. I mean, okay, so that's so much. And again, that's like 5 minutes into the film. But yeah, so I mean, just starting off with the beginning credits, we see we don't know who it is, but it's supposed to be Stu, and he's drawing what we find out later is a banner to help propose to his girlfriend, Dr. Julie. And so we see that he's drawing with his left hand, right? And so
Right.
we find out later, like what you said, that she had him switch hands, which is a kind of interesting callback to what happened actually in real life to Selig when he was like younger. I forget if it was like he was sick or he hurt his hand and he had to switch hands and it changed his art style. And so he actually, a fun little like tidbit is that in that sequence in the film, that's actually Henry Selig's hand drawing and painting and stuff. So that's kind of fun to know. But So yeah, where are we? We go into that animated cartoon, which is
Yeah.
like so raunchy and wild and kind of weird, like, because it's like supposed to be a young kid. I don't know. It's like vibing a little awkward, right?
And
It kind of
it kind
sets
of has that Ren and
the tone.
Stimpy kind of feel for it, if you think about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it kind of sets the tone of like what kind of humor we're gonna get throughout the film, right? It's kind of like juvenile, it's kind of like, silly Billy stuff. And then we come out and it's a screening room and everybody's kind of there. And Stu's manager is like giving this speech about how they've been greenlit for like 6 episodes or something. And I guess apparently the this series was like a comic, maybe like a comic strip in a newspaper or something. So this is his first kind of like claim to fame, for Stu.
Right,
And
because Stu
so
is basically underground still.
yeah, yeah. And then I guess also it's kind of a tale about like artists selling out, because right there when this film comes out, it's kind of like the switch. It feels like artists aren't really coveting too much. They're trying to sell out and sell themselves and, just get like market all of their art, where it
Right.
seems like Brendan Fraser's character wants to like kind of be more mysterious.
Right. It's more of the fact of like, look, I don't want to make money off of this, off of merch, off of people. I just want to make money off of the cartoon, which I'm normally when I'm famous for, not something for a toy line or anything like that. So, and it's just like
Yeah.
everybody's just trying to force him into doing this.
Yeah, they're definitely shoving this all down his throat. They're trying to get him to green light, like not green light, but like approve everything so that they can go and go to the factory and start printing out and making these like monkey bone dolls, which I want one of those.
You know what? That was like the best thing about the toy line was the monkey bone animal. That's the only thing I liked
Yeah,
out of that whole
yeah,
entire
the
toy
doll.
line.
Yeah. And then just before we move on, also what's kind of interesting, we find out later we get to see Stu's artwork before he switched hands when he was having those nightmares, and it's so killer. It's like worthy compared to like the cartoon series.
Mhm.
Uh it feels like it's worthy to be in a museum. It's so great. And so
It's
I'm
like
like,
this oil painting of
it,
this gothic
yeah.
flavor to it that you would probably see hanging up in Tim Burton's house or something, for example.
Exactly. Well, I think the artist, Mark Ryden, I think I was
Mhm.
mixing up the actor and the artist. So he's like a huge famous painter, and so um, he did those paintings for, and then we'll later see. I mean, I'm assuming that anybody watching this, spoilers ahead. We're
This movie's
diving into
like
the film.
24 years old. This movie's 24 years old.
It's
So,
turning 25, which this
right.
is kind of like the anniversary episode, let's say, right?
Right, exactly. This is the anniversary episode. And if you guys haven't seen it, I recommend that you guys go on ahead, either get a physical copy like Anastasia has, or go on YouTube and rent it for like $4. And it's a
Yeah,
fun watch.
it's available everywhere. I saw it. I've actually like rented it before from like Prime. I think it's also on like Apple
Yep.
TV. It's really everywhere, which is great. But we do need a new physical like release copy. We need a 4K. We'll dive into this stuff later, but there's like 30 minutes of footage that would be great to see. There's an extended, we need like a director's cut of this. So I'm
I
always
agree.
rallying for like justice for Monkeybone.
I think Arrow needs to release this in 4K and give us a
Arrow,
bunch of
yeah.
bonus content.
I mean, is this still like is it 20th Century Fox? Is that
Yeah, Fox is it was distributed by 20th Century Fox.
yeah, if they still own it, they need to release it and make it and promote it and do screenings, because we need people to see this. It's so
Right, because this
crazy.
movie is actually good. I think this is actually a perfect film if you're trying to go to film school and try to learn different techniques as far as a director goes. If you have that unique flavor of trying something different and unique, and you find yourself more of a creative like Tim Burton or anybody like Sam Raimi, for example, this movie would actually probably be a great film to show in film school.
Or a Henry
Yes.
Selick.
But yeah, and then the way that it happens is when he gets into the coma, is he winds up inflating the monkey bone on an accident. He crashes in the back of his car, and his head winds up slamming against the seat, knocks him into a coma, and then he winds up going down into downtown. And his spirit ends up in downtown, a limbo-like carnival landscape populated by human beings, mystical creatures, and fragments of people's imaginations, where nightmares are entertainment in downtown. Monkeybone is real. During that time, Stu befriends a cat girl named Miss Kitty. When Stu learns that his sister Kimmy is about to pull the plug on him, he asks Hypnos God of sleep for advice. Hypnos tells Stu that to get back into living, he has to infiltrate the land of death to steal an exit pass from death, which are given to coma victims by Reapers, giving them permission to leave downtown and awaken from their coma. So, what I want to say is this: I love the look of the roller coaster. I like the fact that you get down, you go into this coma state, then all of a sudden you land inside a roller coaster that takes you all the way down to downtown. And I like this idea of like everybody else who are on these comas is like in between living and death, and they all have to wait their turn to see if they're going to get that exit pass. And I like the look of it. I still do. I like how the creepiness of it, especially when Stu is just getting there and he's not used to any of these characters, is what I want to say, of how they look or anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's a wild scene down there in downtown. But so yeah, so he okay, so like with the car accident, there was a extended there was like deleted scenes where originally, and that's like kind of a running theme through this film. I feel like there are scenes that I feel were cut, but also they were kind of crucial to the plot. And I feel like they included some stuff that I don't know if it was necessary all the way, but but at least with that accident, there was a deleted scene where they both, his girlfriend and himself, they get out of the car and then a light pole comes and hits him on the head. So that kind of makes more sense because it's kind of like, like how did he get hurt and then she's totally fine. I don't know. It's whatever. But so yeah, he goes downtown. Yes, I love the roller coaster. I wish that we actually had more of that. Like I wish that was a little bit longer because I just love the look of that like rickety roller coaster going down. I thought it was so gorgeous. And then just going down into like the hand, I thought
Right.
that moment was so cool. And then I guess when he pulls up, he sees his like emotional baggage, right? And so he looks through that, and the world in downtown is kind of a mix of his original art from even when he was a kid, because like in the emotional baggage you can see that it's like stuff from when he was a kid. And it seems to be also other people in a coma, like what you said,
Right.
which is so random. And then like it seems like it's like riffs off of like mascots. Like there's like a camel guy trying to bum cigarettes off of him, but it's not like the official camel,
Right.
like camel cigarette guy. I don't know. And then there's like some big pig trying to like sell like barbecue products or something. It's so weird. And then also I think one of my favorite is are the pigeons that have little heads on them. Though I feel bad for the pigeons, and I hope that they treated them right on set. I keep on forgetting when I watch the credits to see if like no animals were harmed. Like I need that
Right.
like little bit of validation to make those moments okay for me. But the pigeons, it seems so goofy, like to have like little faces on live pigeons. Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, I did. And I was wondering too about the same thing. Is like that's interesting that they actually played around with the pigeons and the way they looked. And I was also wondering, like, did they actually put them on their heads or what?
It seems like they did, and I hope that the pigeons were okay with it, and I hope that I assume that they treated them nice because, like, who's gonna hurt a little pigeon? But,
Exactly.
it was kind of It was so goofy. And then also there was that guy who might be the most frightening, who God, what is it? He has like this huge head, and
Yeah,
it was like a stunt performer inside that suit, and he was actually upside down, so he was on his hands walking around with his legs up in that head. Isn't that nuts?
that is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, but I definitely like the look of it though.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of the most terrifying, like, visuals in downtown, I feel like. And then also, like, okay, so there's the Yeti, and I believe that was played by Doug Jones, which is so cool to know because I love him and his work, like Pan's Labyrinth and
Me
Hocus
too.
Pocus. Um, and then yeah, and then we get into the bar and we've got what's her face? Rose McGowan, who is just stunning. I love her. I love her little dress. I think I found what I want to wear for Halloween this year.
Miss
It's
Kitty.
gonna
I
be Miss.
love Miss Kitty.
Isn't she gorgeous? I love her. I
She
wish I
is.
had more of her too.
That's what you know what though, as a teenager, I thought that she had more screen time than what she
It
did.
felt like I know every time I watch this, I forget about crucial subplots, and then I forget that she's not in it for that long, but she just leaves such a lasting effect.
Right? I wouldn't mind like a spin-off of just Miss Kitty
Yes.
and that, because I feel like there should have been more to her than just
I
her being in the bar, a couple of scenes and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like Downtown could have totally been a fun spinoff. Like Hypnos is great, Death is great. I think it would have been like a fun sequel.
I think so too. I think they should have played around with the mythology around it. I think it would have been a cool spin-off to do it. But it's just the fact that the movie didn't generate enough money or anything like that either. It became a cult classic much later, which sucks because this had so much going for it. It's just that I don't. It was just a misinterpretation of what the audiences were going for, and also too the advertising as well was not centered around Brendan Fraser. It was centered around Chris Kattan, and I think that they should have went on ahead and put it around Brendan Fraser. He had the Mummy movies that was very popular in the early 2000s. Chris Kattan, I love him. I think he's funny. I liked him in House on Haunted Hill. I liked him in Night of the Roxbury. I liked him in Ricky Romano. But to me, he's not a leading person. He's more of a side person and stuff. But that's just my perspective. But I love him. But I just think that Brandon Fraser was actually the right person to do this with, to put him out in front and center so you can sell your tickets, because that was the golden age of the actor, where people were going because of the actor. Not how it is today, where people don't really go for the actor or anything anymore, because they just go for the plot, they go for that, or sometimes maybe the director. But during the early 2000s, it was always about the actor. And I think that they should have centered around Brandon instead of Chris. But and I don't want to. I hope that I didn't say anything disrespectful, but I just think that Chris Kattan is a good actor. I like him as a funny comedian. I just think Brendan Fraser was the spotlight of the early 2000s.
Yeah, it's a little confusing to have the center be around Chris Kattan because he's organ donors too. He
Mhm.
doesn't come up until like the third act, which is like he's not in it a ton. But I mean, I guess he's in it more than when we get like Brendan Fraser and Bridget Fonda together as Stu. We
Right.
get more of Brendan as Monkeybone, like we get like maybe like 3 to 5 minutes or something like that with them together, which is hard to root for Stu. You know what I mean? Like when you
Right.
don't get to see their like I feel like every time I watch the film, I feel like we're missing a scene where like there should have been like a breakfast table scene to like see them interact a little bit, because we only see them interact at the screening, right? And
Right.
then they're like
That's
in
it.
totally different planets.
I just wish
Or
I wanted
universes,
more.
I should say.
Right. I wanted more time with Stu and his relationship to build up to where I can care more about that,
Yeah,
because that's the only downfall I have to say is I wanted more of the chemistry between the two of them, and allow us to have that moment of like they're in love. That's the only takeaway I have to say about that.
yeah, because Bridget's character definitely has chemistry with organ donor Stu. They have like such a heart-wrenching scene later on, like almost at the end of the film, which is like, I wish that we had a little bit of that, because like at that point, I'm rooting for organ donor Stu. Like, I want
Right.
him to stick around. I don't even care about
I don't even care if Stu
Brendan
gets his body
Fraser,
back at that moment
right?
either.
I'm like, how do we make this work? Like, we need to get a little bit of like a death becomes her potion from Liesel to help keep him together.
That'd be an interesting concept. Have those two universe cross between them. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, when Stu learns about his sister Kimmy is about to pull the plug, and this is where we get that whole concept of he had to switch hands. We have that little bit of the past drawings that he did, and then his nightmare drawings. So I definitely like how they showed us the difference of darkness and lightness, because basically his girlfriend was the person that brought him out of that darkness and helped him through it and told him, hey, look, switch hands and see what you can create. And he ended up creating Monkeybone out of it.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, okay, so wait,
Right.
what is their background? He was having nightmares, so he went to some sleep institute, and she's like, Dr. Dr. Julie is like, okay, I think I can fix you. Let's just like switch your drawing hands. And then that fixed him. And then what? They start dating now? It's so crazy.
It really is. It's like, okay, well, now I'm in love with you. Now I want to go on ahead and date you,
Yeah.
But I also like this. I also like the fact that we actually get to meet Monkeybone in the club in downtown. Because it reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you get to see Eddie walking into the bar and see all these other tunes just interacting with each other, and then you see Monkeybone on stage doing his thing, and it's hilarious. I still find that Monkeybone hilarious in downtown a little bit, but at the same time, though, he's pervert. But I like him better as Brendan Fraser versus him being a cartoon character. You know?
Yeah, I love the stop motion puppet of Monkey Bones. I don't know if I found it super funny. It's so goofy. Like him. What was he like dancing on like the piano or something like that? And he turns into Marilyn Monroe, and he grabs his ears and like makes like
Yeah.
little boobies. But yeah,
Right. I want to be loved by you. Yeah. And he winds up
yeah,
dancing on
yeah.
stage. Yeah.
Is it like the coma bar where you can drink yourself into oblivion? I need a comatini. That's what I'm missing right now. I just have my like my little coffee mug.
That's
I
actually
should have
interesting.
gotten a comatini.
But I like that idea of like you can still drink in your coma, and and you're making decisions based on the fact that you're in a coma, and then because of those decisions you're making, you're going to be in a coma even longer because you are drinking into oblivion. So I
Yeah.
like
I mean, okay, that's a really interesting point because yeah, you look at the other people and they're almost like ghost-like, right? They're like a
right.
shell of themselves. It feels like it a little bit, right?
Right, because if you look at that old man that got the exit pass, he was on, and he's like, "You mean to tell me this old geezer got an exit pass before I did?" So you can definitely tell these people have been in there for a long time. And according to Stu, because Stu's only been in there for a couple of days, these people could have actually been in there for God knows how many days,
Yeah,
or
or
months, or
months or
years.
years. Oh,
Right?
same brainwave. But yeah, so yeah, in the bar's fun. And then the bartender, I think his character name is Bull. So that's actor Mike Starr, he's an incredible actor. I love him. Um, and so yeah, like a little fun fact there is that they had his mask, his like kind of Picasso-esque mask. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that, but it was done practically, but then they wanted to give it more life. And so they scanned it and did like a CGI version and kind of like mapped it. So he has a practical mask on. And then so like the movement and everything, it kind of like looks like it glazes over to be like early CGI. You know what I mean? Like how they're
Right.
like kind of a little bit more shiny. Like it's
Right.
hard to tell CGI now, but back then you can kind of tell, because
Yeah.
it
You can
kind of
definitely
glitters a little
tell,
funny.
but I think that it actually works though. I still think that mask actually still holds up, even though it's like part CGI, part practical, and I like it. I like the look of it, but yeah, looking at it now, and especially with 4K, you probably tell that it's actually a little CGI'd in there.
Yeah, but I want them, if they ever do a re-release, I want them to leave everything alone. Don't do like a George Lucas and upres things. Like I want to keep it as like, original as possible. Except like I would like Henry Selick to have his director's cut. So add in whatever he wants, but don't, leave the effects, leave the stop motion.
What I want them to do is like have you choose as an audience. It's like, okay, we have the director's cut on here. You can either watch the director's cut or you can watch the theatrical cut. And like you choose that. So that way you don't have to, you can have everything in pristine condition still. You just have to up it a little bit to 4K and that's it. And have it in pristine condition. And that's what I want from it. Be honest with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought, in order for him to, get out of this whole entire situation, he has to go and steal this exit pass. And then at the same time, his girlfriend's also having a dream about the life support and then him deflating. And then it's also giving Stu anxiety in downtown because he's actually watching these dreams happen. And he realizes he has to try and get out of there as much as he can. And then you also have, his girlfriend also telling him, wanting to actually scare the bejesus out of him so that way he can't get out of the coma.
Yeah, isn't that a wonderful dream sequence? I thought it was so gorgeous and Bridget looks so lovely and perfect. I love the costumes. I love the set. I love it. And then I love how like, okay, so like it's Brendan and Bridget on like a little dreamy hill, and then it goes to like the doctor and Bridget's friends and stuff, and his sister popping up. And I thought that was so cool, the way that they just like pop up and like turn around. And that whole sequence about, cutting life support and then him like just turning into like a rubber skin suit was so killer, and it was all done practical. And I believe that an effects artist, his name is Steve Johnson, I think his company did like all the practical effects. I believe. I didn't get a chance to check, but I believe so. I'm hoping I'm right. But if so, he also did like I think he did the Mummy, maybe the Mummy Returns too. But like I feel like I've seen that kind of skin suit before, like kind of like rubbery and stuff.
Right.
And I forget what film I noticed that, but I was like, oh, the connections are all there.
And you see, that's what I like too, is I like the black and white aspect of it. And then also too, the nightmare that she's having is also the same kind of thing that was on Stu's nightmare, as far as his painting and stuff goes, as far as his drawing goes. So I thought that was interesting. It was like the same kind of artsy. If you remember whenever they go into Stu's cartoon office and stuff like that,
yeah,
where you see the black and white painting, it's kind of like the similarities between that painting and also the dream that she's having, because it's also in black and white. But it's just that, but instead of like him laying down in the operating table and stuff like that, it's him laying down in that coma state and his sister wanting to cut the oxygen from him. So that's the only thing that's switched. It's just that I think his subconsciousness that was still drawn into her brain was that dark painting, and now it's in her dream. And I like the fact with the black and white where you're actually seeing them being in love, and then all of a sudden it changes from life to death, to where now she wants to try and help him get out of this coma state so she can have the life that she wants with Stu. So I like that juxtaposition of that.
Yeah, I love the black and white because that's like, it feels very dreamy. Like, do we dream in color? Do we dream in black and white? It's consistently done, right? Because we get a nightmare with Hypnos later, and then we get like a dog's nightmare later on, which is hilarious. But so yeah, I love the dream. It's one of my favorite moments, actually.
Mine too.
It's so perfect. It's seamless. No.
My other thing is too, what did you think of Hypnos in this though too? Like, I like the fact that you have this little wormy devil-like being that's trying to tell him if you do something shady and sneaky, that you can actually get out of the place that you're wanting to get out of. It's just that you have to steal one of the exit passes. And at this moment, Stu's already pissed off because of the fact that this old man got the exit pass. And I like how Stu's actually trying to talk to one of the Reapers. He's like, why does that geezer get to go home and I don't? Where's my exit pass? And then all of a sudden he goes, I'm off duty, and just rides off into the dark.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah, I like the little Grim Reaper. Well, not little, they're actually really tall,
Right.
right? They look like they're like 9 feet tall. But fun little fact about them. So their costume is kind of based off of uh Frankenstein's monster, like the Bride of Frankenstein. So
I can see
that,
that.
and then also like their head is kind of like like the Grim Reaper's like sickle. So their head is shaped in that kind of way. And then they have red hands because like they've got blood on their hands.
Right.
But there's a kind of an interesting moment that was cut. There was some kind of thing because okay, I'm trying to remember. I guess so. Hypnos tells I'm trying to remember where we are in the film right now. We talked about Hypnos telling Stu that he's got to steal like an
Right.
exit pass to get out, right?
Right.
So he tries to do that, right? And then so when Stu and Monkeybone are in the one of the Grim Reaper's costumes, like it has like green pea soup or something like that all over him, but we don't see why. And so there was a whole scene, I guess, where something goofy happened. But I would have loved to see that because it's like it's carried on still in the film. It's like I guess it was cut in the editing room,
Right.
and they couldn't fix it.
The thing that made me laugh was like when Monkeybone's standing on top of Stu's shoulders, and then they have to try and blend in with the other Reapers.
Yeah.
And then you have what's his name from Wings? You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, her like henchman guy.
Yeah, her henchman.
Oh my god, I'm blanking. But I know who you're talking about.
But I love
when he has like such a voice. Like you recognize him from his voice. And he was also like, I don't know if it was the first Spider-Man or the second Spider-Man, but he was like one of the villains, right? Or
yeah, he was actually Sandman.
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect.
Because I remember him in George of the Jungle.
Yes.
he played a rich snob in that movie. But I like him as the henchman for Whoopi Goldberg's character for Death. Mm-hmm. And then I like how they're trying to blend in, and Death is like, I need to see you. And he's like, me? So I like how and it's just like a total fail, because then she gets her little Chihuahua dog to go ahead and remove the blankets and stuff from the Reaper, and then there's Stu and there's Monkeybone.
Yeah, it kind of feels it feels like a Three Stooges moment, doesn't it? Or like a Laurel Lasardi. Yeah, the doggy's so cute. I think it was a pug with like a wrestler mask on or something like that. One of the like lucha, those masks. I think so. Yeah. But it was so cute. But I see, that's another thing. I wish we would have seen more of Death herself, more scenes with her. And I like the fact that when she gets upset, she like blows a fuse, and her head explodes. I think that's so cool. And then he gets another head and like it's like a light bulb. He screws her like
a mannequin head, and he has to like screw it in.
Yeah, I thought that was really funny and cool.
I do too. I like that.
I noticed these like little artistic choices that I really love.
Because
it makes you like feel like you're very in that universe. Exactly. I feel like those kind of little things to add into films, it's like when you watch it over and over again, because I've watched it. I might be the person who has seen Monkeybone the most. When you see it so much, it's like you notice all these little new things. I feel like I see something new every time,
Me too, as do I. And you're right about the universe, though, that they created for Death, because you actually do feel like you're in that world. And then whenever her head explodes, it's like, oh, is Death gone? No, she just has to go ahead and reattach her head and screw it back on, and then it's like this thing of death is always going to be around. So I like that concept of like, yeah, she's gone for a minute, but she's going to be back again. So it's like cheating death in a sense is like, yeah, you cheated death here, but death is always going to find you.
Yeah, just like in what Final Destination.
Exactly. But then you have Hypno's plans to use Stu's body to get a chemical substance that Julie developed uh, that gives people and animals nightmares. The Onrix, upon being sent to the Institute of Hypnos, upon uh, re- reminding him of his mission, Monkeybone in Stu's body ends up successfully stealing the Onrix. Switching it with another juice, Monkeybone obtains the Onyx and puts it inside stuffed monkeys, toys of himself, so that those who touch them will be infected and given nightmares. With help from Miss Kitty, Stu escapes from his imprisonment. Monkeybone and Stu's body prepares to Panita for the Monkeybone 14 dolls at the party. So, now we have this whole entire thing now where Hypno winds up making Monkeybone go into Stu's body at the same time as when his girlfriend is also trying to scare the crap out of him with her nightmare serum, and he winds up waking up as Monkeybone.
Yeah, so much happened, right? It's so crazy um with all of that, cuz like the nightmare juice, she like pumps him full of that. Like I think before she had used like a small amount, and then she ends up using some like gigantic dose to like scare him awake. And yeah, it's this whole interesting subplot that I always forget about, right? That Hypnos has his own agenda, and he's trying to, um, he has this long-standing kind of con that's happening where he gets somebody like quote unquote famous for scaring people. Like later on we'll find a Stephen King, Jack the Ripper, I think Lizzie
Yep.
Borden. Um, and he switches them with the kind of like, I guess, a character that they have in Downtown. I don't know how they create the. I don't really know the whole like theme for that, but we've got Monkeybone, right? And so he wants to switch. He wants Monkeybone to go into Stu's body so that he could create more nightmares, right?
Right.
Because
And
that's
I'm
what they feed on. They feed on nightmares in Downtown, right?
right. I think whenever you look at it, like you had Edgar Allan Poe in there, Lizzie Borden. I think at that time that was like, okay, well, these people are no longer afraid of you anymore. Looking at Stephen King or whatever, I was like, okay, well, you're washed up. Now I have to get somebody else to go ahead and give other people nightmares. So now
Well,
you're trapped here down here with everybody.
yeah, it seems like different time frames, because also we've got like Attila the Hun and stuff. So I think like within different times, they just have to get a new one because like they die or disappear, whatever happens to them. But yeah, crazy. And then so like a fun fact on the Stephen King. So it's a lookalike in the film, but it was supposed to be actually Stephen King. But when they were filming those scenes, like a week or two before, Stephen King, like he was part of some kind of hit and run where he got hit. And so he
Right.
was, he was like healing from that or something. And so
Yeah,
he
that's
couldn't
what it
be
was.
upset.
Uh,
But then they
yeah,
ended up finding some guy who looks enough like him. And then
which
so
is
Cujo
amazing.
ended up taking his spot, right?
Right.
It is crazy.
But the fact that they even got the cosmetics to even look like Steven was amazing because that's exactly how he looked back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, well, I think the guy just naturally kind of looks like Stephen King. I don't know if he was like an impersonator or what, because I haven't done a deep dive on that person yet. But
Right.
I think that it was just like kind of a natural thing, and maybe they just added some glasses and tweaked his hair a little bit.
I think so too. I think it's interesting though. And yeah, it was a hit and run because I remember in the early 2000s he was jogging and then somebody ended up hitting him while he was jogging and then they drove off.
Wild.
Yeah.
Imagine that you do that. One, how evil to hit somebody and then just leave them for dead, right? Evil.
Exactly.
And then two, you probably find out later that you just like hit and left for dead like this, like one of our American icons and legends, Stephen freaking King.
Right.
You know,
And
like,
you left him for dead. Right.
yeah, how do you not turn yourself in?
I wouldn't have been able to sleep at night, to be honest with you, knowing that I hit somebody. And then on top of that, you ended up hitting the most iconic horror writer in ever created.
Yeah, such a prolific writer who has given so much to America literature. You know, I couldn't imagine.
Me either. But I do like the fact that, Julie developing gives people well, I also like the fact that, you have this gas now for this nightmares, and she just has it conveniently in her house instead of putting it back in the lab where it belongs in the sleep center.
So wait, are you okay? I think I'm not sure what you're like the gas would I know that she has nightmare juice, but I think that's at her sleep institute. So that's
Yeah,
her office. So I think Monkeybone Stew breaks into her office in the middle of the
yep,
night, right?
that's right. Right.
And then he like has like a little run-in with like the like orangutan or some kind of monkey type animal.
Yeah, it was with the orangutan. Right. And he winds
Yeah.
up kissing the orangutan and
So
everything. And then
weird.
it's weird, but it's totally monkey bone though, because I think that the animals can see inside of him on what kind of person
Yeah.
this, because
That's why
even
the
the
dog
dog.
hated him, right?
Right.
So they can see them for their true form, I feel like.
Me too. And I like how the orangutan is wanting him to kiss him and make out with him. So he ended up just making out with the orangutan just to basically just say sucker and then walk off with whatever he wants, because remember it landed in his cage. And so, I just thought it was funny. I thought that was a funny moment. And then
Yeah. And then he goes into like the shed or something. Is that what you're talking about? And starts like doing, like creating some kind of a gas with it.
well after
With the
that
nightmare juice?
well after that happens, remember he tries to sneak back into the bedroom where
Oh
Julie
yeah.
is. And she goes, I think you snuck out of the house. Just no, I think that's all in your head. And then here he is with a slicker on, and his ass is actually showing out of the covers. And then there's also the strip tease he does for her whenever he gets out of the coma.
I was gonna say, like, we totally zip past that, and it's always awkward because, like, that's my sister-in-law, so that scene's always like a little awkward for me.
I can imagine.
But it's so goofy. But like, okay, so I've watched the film so many times. I watch it with like Henry Selick's commentary as well, and so I remember he said that like Brendan was so like physical with it that he was actually that Brendan had researched like how monkeys like their maneuvers and their like not dance moves, but he kind of created dance moves based off of I know
Their
this sounds
movements
weird, but like mating kind of wooing habits, let's say, of monkeys, which I thought that was really cool because I love it when an actor prepares. I love it when they create these characters and they do their work. And I love Brendan. He's so great in everything that I've seen him in. He's
right. He always dedicates 110% on everything he does. And
yes,
that's also why he won the Academy Award for The Wheel, is because of the dedication that he does. But I just love how Monkeybone doesn't see himself as a human still. He still thinks that this is a way to attract a woman that's engaged or is going to marry Stu, and thinks that this is actually going to woo her into having sex with him. And instead, it just comes off as off-putting. I think it's supposed to be this...
It's very cringy.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be cringy, I think, because of the fact that she also feels like, okay, this is a little weird. And then he wants a head dive off the bed rails.
She moves right out of the way.
And then she kicks him in the he lands on the rails of the bed, and then she winds up accidentally kicking him in the face and then falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's such a silly scene.
I do like the scene though. I mean, I like the fact, like I said, with how the monkey is actually thinking that this is how he's supposed to act, even though
Yeah,
he's a human, and he doesn't know, it doesn't even know how to even act like a human because he's never been a human. So he's thinking that this is actually how you're supposed to act. But
exactly.
but I do like the whole entire deal of okay, the next morning you actually have the toy line with the people that's in charge of these monkey bone toys. And he's like, well, can you go on ahead and take that gas out and put another liquid in there?
Yeah, he's asking some really suspicious questions, you know?
Because this is how you know that this is corporate and how the rich they want to be without even having to ask questions. Because anybody else would have asked questions it's like, well, guess what? In order for us to get this toy line done, we actually have to do what the creator wants us to do. So they want and it's kind of weird that they would actually get Stu to do this. It's like, okay, well, if we're going to do it, if you're going to do that, have at it. We're not going to even touch it or be tampered with. You're going to sign a waiver saying that you're responsible for whatever happens to anybody that breathes in this chemical because we don't want nothing to be a part of it. That's why I'm thinking that maybe that's why Stu was the one, or Monkey Stu was actually the one that was actually putting the chemicals in there, not the toy line themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think like in that scene where he's with his manager, Herb,
Mhm.
Dave Foley, you know, from like Kids in the Hall. So I'm trying to think if I think there is a gas that comes out, right? Like when
Right.
he moves his thumb from the monkey bone doll.
Yeah,
And so
it's just a regular gas. Yeah.
that's what kind of gets his little monkey brain going about like, oh, could I put something else? Because at that point, I'm trying to remember, did he already get the nightmare juice?
Yeah.
Or
At that
maybe
point,
that's what like
yeah.
inspires him to get it. But yeah.
But yeah, that's how he winds up with the monkey bone toy and putting the
Mhm.
gas in it because he already had the gas to begin with, the nightmare juice already. He just needed to find a way to be able to use it, and he didn't know how to. So he actually, he winds up
On
taking the toy. Yeah,
Yeah, on a big scale, right? Because he's like trying to get this out to people and corrupt their dreams on like a massive scale because
right,
he's, you know, trying to make his boss Hypnos happy in a way, you know.
right,
I mean, I
exactly.
feel like Monkeybone doesn't care at all about anything.
No, he all he cares
You
is about
know,
utter chaos at this point.
exactly. So he loves when people are upset and going crazy. But yeah.
I also like how you have Julie over there talking to her friend, and she's like, I don't know, maybe I gave him too much juice and everything like that. Maybe that's what happened with the nightmare juice. We need to, and she's like, well, let's go and have, maybe you're just over analyzing this. Maybe we we need to go and take him over to the sleep clinic. And then at that point, he's chasing after his own dog to drug him with the nightmare juice.
Yeah, super interesting point there. I always like to think of this film like from Julie's perspective, like because she had this nice, like very, Stu was very low key, you know, and shy and kind of, he wasn't as outgoing as Monkey Stu. I mean,
No,
and so it's kind of interesting from her perspective. Like, she probably thinks that she made him insane by like pumping him full of nightmare juice, right?
exactly, because it's like
Like
Stu used to be
what a weird film she's experiencing because later on we get Chris Kattan's character, organ donor Stu, comes out of nowhere and he's this corpse with organs falling out left and right, and then he's got Bob Odenkirk, who is like a comedy genius, running after him demanding his organs, and then she's like seeing all of this play out while her boyfriend or fiance, whatever, Stu, is acting insane. He's like uh all over all of these different women. He's selling out, just like totally night and day difference from who he was before the nightmare juice. You know what I mean?
exactly because
Isn't
he was
that
reserved.
insane?
Yeah, because he was more reserved, more quiet. He kept to himself. He was the shy, timid person, and then you have Monkey Bone
Yes.
that just does a total 360 on Stu, different personality, like you said. and he's more outgoing. He's making impulsive decisions. He's also not being very charismatic towards Julie and her feelings.
No, he couldn't
He's
care at
being
all.
greedy. No, he doesn't. He's just making deals just to make deals. Because there was even he's like, well, how much was McDonald's paying us for that hamburger? He goes, they're actually paying you more. Okay, then forget about McDonald's.
Let's go with
So
them. The one with
yeah,
the big guts in the burger.
and then even the appearance of Stu having to change the little douchebag goatee thing right there too to
Yeah.
make him look different. And Julie should have said, wait, there's something going on with my boyfriend. And I like how she's second guessing herself. Did I do this to him? What happened? What's making him do this? But I like the fact that you have the separation between regular stew and monkey bone stew to determine the difference between them. So I like that. And then, I just think that the scenes actually work.
Yeah, and then like what you were saying, so we see Monkeybone Stew chasing the dog around, and so at that point, that's kind of like around where Monkeybone Stew gives the dog a dose of the nightmare juice, and then we get a wonderful nightmare dream with the dog, with the cat, and they're
And the
trying to
overalls,
like neuter him. Yeah, it's so crazy, like the hillbilly cats.
right? And it's like one of those other gothic painting dreams or something like you would actually see. But I also like how hypnosis is like, wait, he's drugging animals. This is
Yeah, I send him up there to get me dog nightmares or something like that.
right to basically get me animal nightmares because this is such a letdown.
Yeah.
So I like the comedic aspect of it. Is like I'm such a letdown with Wade Monkey Bones doing it, but I like how how that is actually being set up. So then you have Hypno's plans of death upon capture convinces her to send him back, send Stu back. So let's see here, Monkey Bones. Okay, so this is how it actually happens. So go ahead. So that those are who touched will be infected and given to nightmares with help from Miss Kitty. Stu escapes from his imprisonment from Monkey Bone, farting dolls at the party. Meanwhile, Stu reveals Hypno's plans to death upon capture and convinces her to send him back to for only an hour, only to find himself in the body of a dead athlete, organ donor. As he flees the morgue, attends, Stu finds out about Monkey Bone's planned party and heads there with the extraction still in pursuit at the party. Stu's agent, Herb, exposes himself to the Onrix in the Monkey Bone doll and ends up seeing in the mirror that his clothes are coming to life. So let's talk about the fact that you have the organ donor. And okay. I think you wanted to say something though.
Oh, yeah, no. I would love to even go back a little further when
Okay.
we're in kind of the jail cell where we have
Okay.
that moment with Hypnos and he kind of tells Stu his evil plan and stuff, and then we get Miss Kitty and kind of a different version of Mickey Mouse, right? In
Right.
there, and then she attacks him. And so like a fun little note there is that um that the studio didn't want to include that scene, which I think is such a crucial and wonderful. I thought it was so great. I mean, I love horror films, so that felt like a very callback to like a classic horror film,
Well, I also felt like with Miss Kitty biting the mouse is actually her acting as if she's a cat. That's
Yeah,
actually
well,
something a
yeah,
cat would
no,
do.
of course,
So it
yeah.
makes sense for that character to do that. And you need to have a way to have Stu break out of the prison. So I think this is actually the perfect way to do it is have those cat-like instincts and not cut that out of the movie. I think it actually is beneficial towards the character to actually do this because it's a representation of that character.
Yeah, well, the studios, I guess, at that time were worried that it was like too much, like it was too scary, it was too gory or whatever, which I found it very light and low key, but
Hmm.
also I'm a huge horror fan, so like I can take a lot of stuff.
Same here as
But
well.
I think that was such a killer scene. I like how her eyes glow. I like the moody lighting. I love all of that stuff. And then I like where before that, like Miss Kitty has like kind of a moment with Stu. Cause then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm rooting for him to stay there and like have a life with Miss Kitty or something, you know?
That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, dude, I would love just for you to stay there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah, your life is a giant mess up above you because of what Monkeybone is doing.
I
You might as
get
well
it.
just stay down there.
Yeah, again, let's just keep like organ donor Stu up there with Dr. Julie, and then we'll keep Stu down in downtown with Miss Kitty, right?
Right, exactly. We have both the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that you have to deal with death now, and then I like how she picks him up and she tells him, "Okay, now bend over a little bit more," and then boop, just sends him back up, and then he sends him up to organ donor Stu in Chris Kattan's body, and he wakes up and his neck is like broken, and I like this whole entire thing in the ER. Well, you know what I'm talking about, like where the organ donors things are
Yeah.
at. And he's like, "Well, what happened to me?" "Well, you broke your neck, for starters." And he's over there like trying everything in the woodwork to try and keep his head attached. So I definitely like that. I also like it when he's running away from them and he's this Olympic star that got killed, and we find that out through somebody else reading a newspaper, and it's
Mhm.
not like overly done. I'm glad that there was like a subtleness to it. It's like, oh, okay, so this guy was an Olympic star track runner who winds up getting killed. So I like that whole idea of explaining his origin story without having to go on a deep level of trying to explain who he is. Then he goes back over to Stu's house and he winds up finding the ring that he was going to give Julie because it was belonged to his grandmother. And at that point, you also have Mikey Bone, who's also trying to propose to her with an expensive ring. And he's like, "Wait, you wanted to propose? You wanted to use ring?" Because she's like, "Well, you're supposed to be proposing me using your grandmother's ring." Because, well, wait, you want to use ring? I didn't know that. But there's a lot going on within those scenes. But what did you think?
Oh, yeah, okay, so we're gonna have to bring it back a little bit for me because
Okay.
okay, so the whole scene with, so we get introduced to Chris Kattan's character, organ donor Stu, which is brilliant character work. He was so nuanced in his physicality of that character. The physical comedy is just like perfection. I mean, he's a true comedian. I think I would love to go on record. I think this might be Chris Kattan's best performance. I think it's so nuanced. I think it's so delicious to watch.
Mhm.
Um, so he also did a lot of work on his own to make his neck flexible enough to do that broken neck kind of gag that he has in the film. And I think it just, he did it wonderfully. And I love the scene. I mean, also he's in a scene playing off of Bob Odenkirk, and he's so funny and he's a brilliant comedian as well. So you see where the funny really starts to like come to life, kind of in this like, you know, last act kind of. I
Right.
don't know. It feels like the whole movie could have been like this insanely funny. You know what I mean? It's just like I feel like with different cuts and stuff and deleting footage, I feel like we kind of lost our way a little bit, but then we get it in the end. It feels like this is what the movie was supposed to be, this kind of like just insanity,
Right.
and it's just so great. So in the operating room, or the morgue, I guess it would be in his case, so the studio didn't want to go too gory, and so Henry Selick decided to stay away from like blood, like no red, and instead he had the surgeons, the doctors wearing red
Red.
to kind of like give that vibe that, you know, like there's still red in the room and everything, but where he wasn't going to get flagged by the studio for like making organ donor stew, so he
Right.
doesn't get, you know, like there's no like gore and stuff really there, which I thought was like a really unique and artistic way to still express that feeling, because it does feel like gross in there. And I
Right.
couldn't, before like hearing that on the commentary, I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I was like, oh my God, that's so brilliant,
It makes sense. I
you know,
mean,
to use the red around to still give that impression of blood, but
right.
without there being any blood there.
Exactly. It also represents them as surgeons as well without having to really show blood. And then also too, even the look of the organs and stuff too looks very realistic with it being gray like that
Yeah.
versus it being bloody. So I'm actually happy with the way that it came out. I thought it was very realistic on how
Yeah.
they handled it.
Well, there was a scene when they're chasing, where the surgeons are chasing, you know, Chris Kattan's character around, and so where one of the organs falls, and then there's a lawnmower, and so they were supposed to get sprayed by a bunch of blood, which I thought would have been hilarious, but the studio made him cut that. So there's like a jarring kind of cut in between that, the end of that scene, and then going to I mean, I feel like they handled it well, but I also would have loved to see, you know, Henry's like full artistic expression with that kind of
Right. It's just that suddenness of something happening. And it's like, oh my gosh, that those people actually got sprayed with blood and had that kind of like this dark humor comedy aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's such
Like,
the film, right? It's such a
right.
dark comedic film. But
And
yeah,
yep.
and then also like how hilarious is it just to see Chris Kattan just run away and then like jump on like what do you call it? Like dumpsters. Do you remember that part? Like when
Yeah,
he's
he lands
running
on the
out.
dumpsters and then he's also I like how he's using his Olympics
Yeah,
because
oh yeah, because he's a gymnast, right? And so he's
right.
like doing all of these Olympic type things.
Right. So that's what I like is the fact that even though Stu doesn't know this person from or anything like that, he still embodies his personality to even know that he's actually a gymnast, which allows him to be having that little bit of running room for him to be able to get away from the surgeons and stuff.
Yes, and I love that moment where, okay, there's so many great moments with Chris Kattan, like on the bus. That's so great, and his like shock to read that
Yeah.
you know, because I guess he passed by a mirror or something. I don't know how he knows he looks like that picture, but I guess he figured it out somehow.
Well, remember, he gets on the bus and then he sees everybody just like looking at him. And then one guy's looking at the paper and he winds up seeing his own self in the paper, I believe. And that's how he finds out that he died.
Yeah, okay, so at some point he got to see what body he's in. I don't
Right.
remember them showing that, but it's we're just gonna let the audience figure it out,
Right.
right?
But another
But
thing
yeah,
too is like,
the bus scene is so hilarious with everybody leaving because he's stinky, right?
right. And I have a question though, like, you know how before, like, we actually feel like the film kind of speeds up at the very beginning, and then in the middle, it kind of slows down just a tiny bit.
Mhm.
And I feel like by the third act of this film, we actually get the payoff what we deserve. But at that point, I have a question: do you feel like that they should have kept certain scenes in so that way the audience doesn't bail out of this, even though we're loving it as an audience? That would everybody else also feel the same type of way that we do, or would you feel like it's too little, too late for that third act to be able to have that?
Um, do I what's the question? Do I feel like it would have been better if we tightened up the second act versus
Well, having the same tone as the third act, where we actually had those
Oh,
laughs and those moments without
yeah,
because
I
I
mean, I
feel
guess we kind of get we I mean, okay, so maybe I was a little harsh before, but like I
no,
guess
no,
we get funny stuff with Monkey Stew, right? Like
right,
that's goofy, that's zany, that's fun. But yeah, there are some places where I guess we're trying to hit like notes of sadness and stuff where we're with Bridget's character and she's kind of like talking about like different stuff, and you're kind of feeling bad for her. And then we get some stuff with the sister and things. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like what was missing is that maybe we needed to have more comedians in the middle. You know what
I
I
think
mean?
so.
Like, because
Yeah.
what stands out to me is that Chris Kattan knows what's funny. He's a comedian. He's hilarious. Bob Odenkirk, I feel like he was so underused in this film. I would have liked to see him earlier. I would have liked to see him like check in or something with when Bridget and the sister are visiting, like, oh, is he ready yet? Like, can I get his organs? Or, like, to have a
Is he
little
an organ donor? Look through his files or
yeah,
something.
exactly. Have a little banter in there. Like, if he was another person in there kind of like screwing up the conversation, right? Like, that would have
Right.
been really funny.
I would like that a lot more. But
Yeah,
yeah.
because it's like we see it's like, and then sometimes it's like the comedians, like, like Whoopi, she's hilarious, but I don't know if she was really like super like shining. Like, I feel like maybe some of her scenes were cut or something, because it seems like she's really having fun and letting loose. But it's like I would have liked to see more, like have more time with these like funny comedians.
I think so too. I think they needed more time to be able to get them fleshed out a little bit more to give us more laughs. Because these actors and comedians are actually having fun with it. It would have been a lot better if it was fleshed out a little bit more for them.
Yeah, or just having like Monkey Stew more, because we get so much time with Monkey Stew, right? I think that's like the most time we get is like dealing with him. So I feel like if they had him crossing over more with people or whatever, like maybe he goes into the doctor's office and he's having a checkup or something, and then Bob Odenkirk is like, oh wait, I thought I was going to get his organ, like something,
Right. Exactly. So now we're actually in the part where we actually see where basically Stu's agent Herb gets shot in the face with the chemicals, and now we actually have his clothes. He's thinking that his clothes are coming to life. He winds up taking off his tie. He takes off his clothes. And the next thing you know, he runs into where the party is, butt naked. And then after that, you actually have this also causes Harp to go through naked, telling everyone that his clothes have come to life and turned evil. After that, Monkeybone and Stu's body tells everyone to forget about it as he brings down this Stu's pinata containing the Monkeybone dolls. Stu uses Monkeybone's main characteristics from the comics to cause him to panic and escape. A chase ensures coming with Stu and Monkeybone battling each other while clinging to a giant Monkeybone balloon. The balloon is eventually shot down by a passing incompetent policeman, and both Stu and Monkeybone fall to their deaths. So I also like the fact that
so much. Okay, let's back it up. Let's
go with the whole brick house thing that Stu was also singing as well.
Let's go a little bit. Let's get back to Herb, Dave Foley. So he was supposed to be wearing like some bottoms or something like that. But then through that sequence when he's supposed to be running through naked. And so Henry Selick was like, you know what, actually we're catching the like underwear or whatever it was he was wearing. And so Dave Foley was like, I got you. And so the next take, he goes and he does the whole scene naked. And so those are real reactions from people because he's butt naked, which I was like, I love it when an actor commits like that.
Me too. It's like, okay, I'm going to go all or nothing.
A little awkward for like, the extras and stuff. They might not have wanted to see that, but
I think it's great
for him to do.
I think so too.
And he's a team player, right?
Yeah, he took one for the team, and I really love the commitment that he made to it. It's like, look, I'm going to go all out with this, and I love the reactions. The reactions are very real. That's actually how I would react if I saw something like that. I'm glad it's actually not scripted either, so that's even better.
Yeah, and I love that whole scene where it's like we dip in and out of Dave Foley's nightmare. So we're black and white, and then we've got the like suit kind of coming to life, and his necktie and all of that. So I love the way that he moves and manipulates, his props and his costume and different things like that. And I thought he was so committed, like what you said, and he's like purple faced.
And also too, like I like the idea of like there's chaos going on inside where Stu is, just as there's chaos in the bathroom with Herb. So this whole
Yeah.
entire party's off the reels because of Monkeybone. So it's exactly how it's supposed to be in downtown if Monkeybone took control over there.
Yeah, he's bringing the chaos from downtown, uptown, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
upstairs.
You know what though? I think they could have actually done something with that besides making it this dream state. What about making chaos and being the fear as well and the anxiety, and also having those three playing together?
Oh,
And
yeah, that would have been fun.
I think that they could have done a lot with that because he's amplifying it to an even more greater scale than what Hypnos would even thought of.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also would have been cool because I guess we never really get the payoff. Okay, you know how like in Batman, like Tim Burton's Batman, we get the Joker and he gasses everybody at the museum. Well, at this museum, because this is like supposed to be at like the Natural History Museum or whatever here in LA, and it's like some benefit dinner with like all of these socialites and stuff, but like nobody gets gassed. And so I feel like I was like I would have loved to see all of like everybody kind of acting crazy,
That would have been perfect, to be honest with you. Instead of it
right?
being the Monkey Bone toy line, it might be like an inflatable monkey bone that the same kind of thing that caused the coma.
Yeah, like that gasses everybody or something like that.
Right. But instead we get the whole entire pinata thing that happens.
Yeah, I would have rather had that than like the Brick House music video.
Yeah. Even Julie's like, I don't know about
Like,
this.
I don't need this. Yeah, he's like looking up these poor dancers, like looking up their dresses and stuff. They're like brick dresses.
And even Julie's like, what are you doing? Like you can actually see the look on her face. It's like, this is not Stu.
Oh, no, of course not. Because we have that moment where he does this grand gesture in front of everybody, which is so unstewed like, right? Because he's like a little shy and stuff. But where he proposes to Julie, and then what you were saying before about the engagement ring, he's like, oh, yeah, it's brand new. Because she was like taken back and shocked because she's like, what happened to your grandmother? Like your keepsake ring. And he's like, why would you want an old ring?
Right. Why would you want a used ring? And then I also like how the fact Monkey Bone does not know too much about Stu because
He doesn't
Stu
know
is the one.
anything.
No, and Stu actually had it in a hidden compartment that he didn't even know about. So
Yeah.
therefore, now you can tell the difference between Monkey Stu, according to Julie on her perspective, and the difference between organ donor Stu.
Yes, because does he bring the ring to her?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. And then he's like, I would be crying, but I'm all dried up.
Right. I'm all dried up. He goes, and she goes, what's wrong?
God, he was robbed of an Oscar. He deserves an Oscar for this performance. Henry Selick deserves an Oscar for this film,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so biased to Bridget, so give her one too.
But I do like the whole entire chase scene, and then just as the chase scene is happening, you have the organ donors going after it, like you mentioned, and then
It's
finally,
such a good scene. Some of those quotes, "Get back here, dead man. We don't want to hurt you. We just want your organs." Like, and so Bob Odenkirk just improvised those lines. That's how funny this man is. He's a national treasure. I love him so much.
and it just rolls off the tongue so smoothly, though. It's like it's supposed to be there. He's like,
yeah,
slow down, dead man. We just want your organs. It's a perfect line for someone that's chasing after somebody that's dead. That's actually supposed to be dead.
it's
And then,
so beautiful. He's hilarious. He's like comic gold. He's such a comedic genius. I love him.
I love Bob. I really do. Ever since Breaking Bad and stuff like that, and also but Saul, I love him.
Yeah, Better Call Saul. It's so incredible how deep of an actor he is to do those dramatic. Because like you end up kind of like hating not to give too much away about a different show, but he's just so dynamic and nuanced, and he's such a wonderful creator. And a little like thing is that I don't know if he lives here anymore, but he used to live in the neighborhood, and I would bump into him like when I was like driving my car and see him walking his dog or like at our grocery store, and I was like, ah. I never said hi because I like to leave people alone, but
I got
someday
you.
I hope to meet him or work with him. I'm gonna raise the bar very, very high.
But I do like this chase scene a lot. I really like how they do this, and then I also like how organ donor, where you actually have an organ donor Stu, he winds up doing his Olympic thing to get into the party. That they tell the organ donors, "Oh, this is invitation only." So you're telling me this guy just happened to be an Olympic star, was able to get into there with no problem, but you're not allowed to let the organ donor in. Not the people that, well, not organ donor, but the people who are actually trying to get his organs.
Yeah, we don't need an invitation. We have diplomas or something like
Right.
that. He says some kind of goofy line. I love it. Yeah, well, he probably let the organ donor Stu go in because one, he's like flipping through and he's probably stinky.
Right. And then
He's
he
like,
also
"Get outta
has the duct tape around his stomach. You also have the ruler that's helping
here."
him
Yeah,
with his
yeah,
neck.
square. I love that. I know we kind of grazed past that scene. That's a beautiful scene where he's trying to get in, Chris Kattan is getting into the house, and he goes and he just like, how wonderful that take was where he gets the tape and he puts it on his head, and then he does like a little spin, a couple spins, and tapes it. It's genius. It's so funny.
And also like how his neighbor spots him though too. He's like, "Hey, you didn't see anything.
Don't call the police.
Don't call the police."
Everything's fine. Look away.
But yeah, then you also have the cop who winds up shooting the balloon down, and then now Stu and Monkeybone are both back down to downtown. And then you have, yeah.
Okay, let's not forget or like go. Oh, I know we're like covering so much, but this is such an
No, no.
insane film. But how funny is it while they're like flying over the city, and like those moments where Chris Kattan is like he's like this, and he's like going around. He's like doing his like gymnastic training and stuff on the balloon,
I
and
love
they're
it.
like punching each other and then throwing organs all around.
Organs
Like
out.
that's so great. See, I would love if somebody were to like, I was telling my daughter Audrey this, like if somebody were to upload a video just of them like fighting and have it go for like 2 hours or something like that. Wouldn't that be funny?
I have something better. What if we make a Mentos commercial out of it?
Oh my God, genius. Let's do it. I'm sure
All
they'll
right.
be fine with it.
Right? Because I think I actually made a Mentos commercial out of the Goonies before. I also did one.
You have to
Another
send me that. That's
Okay, I'll do
hilarious.
that. I also did another one, I believe, for the Warriors movie as well. Whenever they actually, I did Scooby Doo. Never mind, I did a Scooby Doo theme for that one. But I try to incorporate different things just to make it make people laugh. But I think that the Mentos commercial for that one would be perfect, especially whenever you have the cop that shoots it, and then all of a sudden you have a freeze frame of them falling.
Yeah, that would be
But
hilarious.
But yeah, I definitely love the whole entire acrobatics of him. I'm on there throwing the organs at Monkeybone, Monkeybone Stew, and then you finally get them back in downtown. And at first, I thought maybe the roller coaster would actually catch them, and then they have to beat each other up in the
Yeah,
roller
that would have been
coaster
great.
all the way back down to downtown.
That would have
So
been
I would
great.
that's what I would want to have, to be honest with you, of just them beating the crap out of each other, and then finally landing in the hands of death. And then she rises up, and then she winds up catching the both of them. That's what I would like to see. But instead, we got the other. Instead, we actually just have death catching them, and then and then she winds up saying, "Well, you know me. I had to dress up for the occasion. So how was your girlfriend? Oh, she was great. I got to see her for an hour." She's like, "Well, you're gonna go back up there," and then she winds up taking Monkeybone and him, and then putting them together. And I thought it was like Monkeybone is part of you and who you are. You would not be here if it wasn't for Monkeybone. So yes, he caused all this havoc, but at the same time, he's also the reason why you're with Julie. He's also the reason why you're getting engaged, why you're having the success. So the thing that ultimately you were trying to stop is also the thing that you had the most success with. What do you
Yeah,
think?
which is so crazy, right? When you think about it, because he has this whole artistic expression where it's very high art and it looks like it should be, in a museum. And then we dip down into the cartoons, like the simplicity of that cartoon, which is great. I love that cartoon style, but it's so vastly different from the art, his paintings and everything. So switching hands totally switch that. And then it's kind of almost like commentary on, like what sells. Maybe your true art isn't going to sell, and maybe you have to sell out a little bit to gain that recognition. It's just like a weird thought, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
on what true art is versus like maybe what the masses, let's say, of people like want to consume, like something
right.
that's more digestible. And then I also feel like the whole, because like Henry Selick's backstory and how he's constantly compared to Tim Burton, or Tim Burton gets credit for his work, like with Nightmare, like actually Henry Selick directed that, not Tim Burton. And
Right.
so it kind of also, I feel like as a viewer, and I don't know if this was done on purpose or not, so, or maybe I'm reading into it, I don't know. I'll ask him one day. But it's like, I feel like also like the little mouse getting killed, it feels like Mickey Mouse, and like commentary on commercialism. Like, how like Nightmare Before Christmas is like massively commercial, like it has so much
Yeah,
like merchandise, and it's radical, and it's like everything's sold out all the time. And so I just feel like
right.
there's like a little bit of an under, like, big thought happening. I don't know, did you notice
I can
that at
see it.
all?
Yeah, I can see something going in with like consumerism and how
Yeah.
we take in certain things and how we are consumed by certain stuff. So,
Mhm.
especially with the merchandise that they're selling, and just as the merchandise for Nightmare Before Christmas, and how that is a big thing that people love and things
Yeah,
like that.
and
And
I feel like that also hits notes, like, for Henry Selick, he doesn't like it vibes like he doesn't like the mass, like, like all of this
masses.
version, yeah, of, like, Nightmare and everything like that.
I gotcha. So now we actually have it to where Monkeybone tries to have Death let him go to the bathroom, but Death places Monkeybone back in Stu's head, which is where he belongs. Death then tells Stu that she will send him back because she likes his comic strips and does not want them to stop just now, and because she needs to make room for the guys from South Park. As she heard that they are dying to meet her. She then uses her robot to send Stu back to the living, and he wakes up in his own body. Stu then proposes to Julie, and they get married. An erratic her breaks the fourth wall, urging the audience to take off their clothes. In the film cuts to an animated sequences where cartoon characters strip their human disguises, revealing monkeys underneath. So I like how he's back now in his own body. He has, as a matter of fact, the bald headed ambulance driver, he's like, "Hey, can I see your shaver?" So he winds up taking it, shaves it. Now he's back to being just Stu. And then Julie is over there mourning the fact that she might not even get to see organ donor Stu, or Stu for that matter, ever again. And then here comes Stu, and his dog winds up walking up to him and he pets him. And then Julie winds up finding out that's actually Stu.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, poor Bridget, like, her whole character, it's so heartbreaking. She is so sad about, the fact that she lost both versions, I guess, in a way. And then thank God, like that gets fixed. But how, what a wild day she's had.
right? Because now it's like, okay, what personality am I getting today? Am I getting organ donor Stu, or am I getting monkey bone Stu? But it's also sucks is like I fell in love with Stu, and even though Stu was an organ donor Stu, and at least I had somebody, and now I have nobody.
Mhm.
It just sucks on that level up until Stu actually shows up and it winds up being him.
Yeah.
But also like this other thing too, whenever they're actually in the world of death, though too, where you actually have Thomas Hayden Church's character where he's actually ties Stu up and he's stretching him.
Yeah.
I love that bondage scene though. I thought that was funny. But
I
yeah, I
like
think
that
this
I like that moment where he gets, like, a little cutout of, like, I don't know, I think she had, like, something with Pompeii. He gets a little cutout of somebody, and he's like, "Ooh, I love my girlfriend."
you're right. He's like,
Because he was, like, talking, he's mocking Stu, who was, like,
right.
on the table getting, like, tortured, in front of death herself, and, so he's just because Stu is confessing, like, how much he loves, his girlfriend, and so he's like, "Ooh, I love my girlfriend."
I
I
love my
thought
girlfriend. But yeah, I think
it
this
is,
movie
like,
is
a
still
funny
good though.
little moment.
I agree. So now that we've dissected it, I know that there's no way that we are stripping away. We couldn't strip away the nostalgia for this because of how attached we are with this film. So I'm still going with like a 9.9.
Yeah, if anything, my score has gone up, and I hope everybody who's
Out of 10.
listening or watching, I hope their score has gone up too. And I hope that they've watched it. And if not, like catch it because it's available streaming. There are, if you're savvy, you can find like physical copies online, like on eBay and stuff. They're pretty easy to get, I think. But yeah, it's such a great film. And the stop motion, the practical effects, the costumes, the world building, the set design, I love all of it. And then also like what I was saying that there's we need a director's cut of Monkeybone because Henry Selick has gone on record to say that there's like at least 30 minutes of unseen stop motion footage. And
Oh wow.
I would love to see that. There's so many when you get the on this version of the DVD, there's like, there's deleted scenes, there's like kind of behind the scenes, and then there's like commentary. So I really suggest getting this if you're like a diehard fan of Henry Selick or Monkeybone. It's so worth it. I've learned so much just like by dissecting the physical release. But there's so much that they did just with the stop motion. They built like I think like a life-size like kind of puppet of Brendan Fraser so that they could get the monkey bone to scale. Like it was so much work done on this film. So like years, I feel like, of work done on the stop motion to capture it all. And so I feel like justice for Monkeybone. It's such a great film. Yes, it's like a little wonky and goofy, but that's what I love about the film,
I do too. I like the fact that it's wonky. I love the fact that it's just a fun movie that you could just stop popcorn in your face for an hour and just have some laughs. And you don't need to take it seriously. It's just one of those those movies that I can actually just turn on, watch, and just relax for a change instead of having to, just like, well, how is this connected to this or that or whatever. And just watch a 90-minute movie and have a good time laughing with Brandon Fraser or any of the other scenes that we talked about. I'll give this a 10 because of the fact of how much I love it. I cannot give it a
Oh,
9.9 like I
good.
wanted. So my score came up, but I really have to say, guys, check this movie out. It's really funny. It's hilarious. And like I said, the third act is actually why you're even there to begin with because you're in
Yeah.
for a ride. And just to let you guys know, like I'm looking at prices for Monkeybone right now on the Blu-ray. There's actually it's $420 for one of
Oh,
the
okay, not the Blu-ray. This one's the DVD. So I think
yeah,
the DVD is easier. I don't know. I have to look at my
yeah.
I don't think I have a Blu-ray. Probably because of that price point, like insane.
Yeah, but the regular DVD itself is like $23.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's
roughly.
not bad.
And then they come up and they go away and they come up. So like just if you want, just keep your finger on the pulse, right?
Exactly. That's what I would do. And guys, tell us what you think. Did you guys like Monkeybone just like how much we did? Tell us in the comments. We would like to know what's your favorite scene in this movie. What did you think of Brandon Fraser being in this movie? Chris Kattan. Whoopi Goldberg. Tell us in the comments. We'd like to actually geek out with you afterwards. So go ahead, check this out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that other good stuff here at Movie Lovers Night. Don't forget to go on Spotify, iTunes, where you guys get your podcast. Rate me over there on Apple Podcasts. Give me a 5-star review. Tell me what you guys think. And that's going to be as far as the show goes. I hope you have a great and safe night. Thank you again, Anastasia. I do appreciate you being on the show and talking about Monkeybone with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I love coming back, love chatting with you, and love Monkeybone. And it's this is going to be the 25th anniversary episode. So congrats to everybody who's involved on the film. We love it, and we support it. And I'm so excited to celebrate later
Same
on in
here.
February.
Exactly. And we are going to be, if you're listening to this on the 25th, we are definitely releasing this on the anniversary of Monkeybone. So always until next time, guys, have a great, safe night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.